Let's move on to the next section of the meeting, which is the education moment. I have the pleasure this morning to invite our guest speaker, and I'll quickly give her an overview of who she is. She's called Emily Manjeru. She's a communications manager for Africa at Smile Train. She holds a Bachelor's of Arts degree in journalism from the US International University and is a member of the Chartered Institute of Public Relations, which is UK-based. In her 13-year career as a public or PR consultant, she has served blue chip companies and multinational organizations. So, Toastmasters and guests this morning, I would like us to put our hands together, drum rolls, and welcome Emily to the stage to speak to us.
Good morning, Kampala.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Brenda. Good morning, Kampala. How is everybody doing? I felt so much at home when Alex told me that Nina is actually also the same as mother in Uganda. And so I feel so at home. Today, I want to spend about 15 minutes talking about preparing for your contests. For anyone who has participated in contests, please put your hand up. I'd like to engage you for a minute, if you may. I would like you to tell me, how was that experience for you? Let's start with Alex. How was that for you?
The first time I was afraid, the table topics contest, and yeah, the nerves were there.
At first, I was afraid. I was petrified. I hear you. What about you, Madam President?
I was nervous. It was difficult to sleep thinking about a context the next day. But it was a very, I would call it a stretcher experience. Stretched my limits. Yeah, I'm grateful for it.
Toastmaster, thank you so much, Madam President. Toastmaster Brenda, tell us about the most fulfilling thing you felt after you participated in the contest.
I was challenged to do better because my first experience was so embarrassing. So it made me think differently and do things differently and better. Thanks.
Thank you. I see Toastmaster Baron in the room. Hi, I am so pleased to have you in the room. Maybe you could share, since you are one of the most recent contestants, what was that experience for you, especially the journey towards preparing for your contest, Baron?
We had several coaches. Thank you so much, Emily. We had coaches from all over the world, and I think that was the ultimate learning experience. I enjoyed every bit of it. I had to keep pinching myself, wondering if I really made it to that stage. It was amazing. The growth was incredible. Back to you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And ladies and gentlemen, let us put a round of applause for everyone who has really participated in a contest, because that is how you do things afraid. Toastmasters, there's nothing different between what Alex, Brenda, and the Madam President and Baron has said that is different from what I went through. There's anxiety, there's tension, there's, will I do this right? Will I do this wrong? How do I make sure that whatever I deliver on that stage will be appreciated, will be taken positively, and that the judges will see me fitting, or Idonius for that matter, to be able to take the crown? So today I'm going to share with you 3 different things to help prepare for the contest. And the first one is breathing. When you're breathing, there's a lot of patience, there's a lot of clarity that comes when you stand on that stage. You know, the moment you walk onto the stage, you already feel the tension of people watching you. You already feel the tension of that stage being alone. You feel the anxiety of, how do I put all these thoughts together, and will everything I have practiced come together? The reason why during Toastmasters contest, they say, take your speaking position and let us know when you're ready. The part between when you're ready and being able to take your position, that is when you breathe. Take a deep breath in with me. Breathe out. Doesn't that feel already calming? You feel calmer. Your thoughts will start to come together, and it will remind you why you're present. It seems like a very difficult yet simple exercise, but one that will actually stand between you looking anxious and you looking confident. The idea here is looking, because everyone is gravitating towards you to be able to evaluate what are some of the things that you will bring to the stage. The second thing is clarity again of thought. When you breathe, everything that you have been practicing for, it's already a science, and I'm afraid I forgot where that came from, but it's a science that when you breathe, when you pace yourself, you have a lot more to remember as you continue with your speech. And this comes from having practiced and practiced and practiced and practiced in the past. So when you do get on that stage, don't be in a hurry to start. Pause. Take a deep breath in. Close your eyes. Breathe out. And when you're ready, which has to be any time during the contest, get onto that stage and own it. The second thing I will share with you is about the background. As you can see, my background is fairly busy. You have to be very conscious that this is a contest. And every single point that you want to be able to get you to the top matters. And that includes your background. Fortunately for Toastmasters, they give us those backgrounds. But then sometimes you might find that you fade in. Allow me to give an example. You will possibly see on your Zoom that you have to blur your background, bringing you to the fore. So I am the only one that you can see. However, you might fade when you get into certain parts of the background. So my greatest recommendation for that is make sure that you have very few, you have limited noise within your background so that you are the point of focus. For we who wear glasses, sometimes you find that the light can come and obscure your eye contact. It's important that also during your setup, while there's limited background noise, also watch your lighting. And for we who wear glasses, look at where the light hits your glasses. Preferably, if you don't need them, take them off. Every point that you have to make eye contact with your audience is a very critical point towards winning. The third is owning the stage. It goes very closely with the noise in the background. And so sometimes you might want to, in advance of the contest, put your little markers on your background so that you know how to make your stage movements. It is no different from when you participate in a physical contest. In advance of going into that stage, be prepared with everything you want to carry. So when you go onto that stage, observe, this will be my background, this will be my starting point, this will be where I move for one point, this will be where I move for the next point. Once again, please notice how you move between backgrounds so that you do not also miss on getting too far out so that you are obscured or you miss points for being on the background. Last, but certainly not least, props. How many of us will agree? Actually, it is one of those things that is mentioned in our Toastmasters journey, that props amplify your storytelling. Props are meant to complement what you want to say. For instance, during the public speaking contest, I had so many props that I needed to be able to communicate about the Short People Alliance. For those who may not know, for my humorous contest, I needed to demonstrate how we Short People Alliance, SPA, have a lot of challenges when it comes to sitting on high stools. Here in Kenya, we call them sinatabus. I also needed to show that I had formed a political party. So I had a banner in front. For those who may have missed it, there is a link of the humorous contest. The most important thing is to make sure that you understand where and when and how effective your props would be. They do add points, but possibly if poorly used, they may take points away from you. So Toastmasters and guests, for those who are making presentations, contests are no different. At any point, you do have a stage, whether you're making a work presentation, whether you're participating in a contest, whatever the case may be. First of all, take time, breathe in, breathe out. In advance of your presentation, take time, look around the room, be early, be prompt, so that you are able to see how does your stage movement work, because those dynamics will get you to the top. Thirdly, watch your stage, especially for a virtual background, and make sure that there's light also facing you so that you are clearly visible to the judges and also to your audiences. Fourth, if you're going to use props, make sure that you understand how each of them will be effective and at what stage. Practice with them, have people watching you and guiding you through this whole journey. For me to be able to stand here and share all these thoughts with you, it has taken a whole mountain. It has taken a lot of people walking with me. I find it arduous to be able to talk about these contests. And I really hope that the butterflies in our stomachs, that the anxiety of being judged does not take away from the fact that we truly are winners. That when you do try and you do get onto that stage, the beauty of being able to conquer yourself, because we sometimes can be our greatest critics, but we can also be our greatest cheerleaders. Get onto that stage, own it, breathe through it, enjoy the process. I will take a few minutes to now welcome any questions, but for now, thank you so much for your time. Back to you.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you so much, Emily, for that wonderful presentation. Surely this is an idonious moment to have such a presentation from you. So let me give the audience about 5 minutes to engage with Emily, and we move on to the next agenda item. Hands up, please. Question or comment or reaction? Alex Agawa.
Thank you, Madam President. Amazing delivery, Emily. Mine is just really a compliment. I loved how you worked with Zoom, really. You began with your background unblurred, you blurred it to show, then you stage blocking, you engage the audience. You are two winner, Emily, and it was just a marvel watching you show us. Thank you very much.
Okay, thanks, Alex. The other hand? Okay, there's no any hand. Arjuna Solomon.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster of this morning. And thank you so much, Toastmaster Emily. I've been following your presentations, and it's idonious for me this morning to say, well done. I just want to get your guidance, if you don't mind, about so many props, because when you go to find out from other champions and those who have something to say about contest, there are those that allude to the fact that props sometimes can cause a speaker to be so dramatic. And yes, the use of props, yes. Sometimes I competed and I think my props were so many. Sometimes they stand in the way for the message. How do you balance it? Because I mean, we can't do without them. We need them. But how do you strike the balance? Thank you so much, Emily.
Thank you to us. Thank you so much, Solomon. I agree with you. Like I mentioned, sometimes the ineffective use of props can take away points from you. So when you do know what story you want to demonstrate, I highly recommend that you keep your props minimum, but you have to practice with them if you want to really bring the story more effectively. Because remember, this is not a story about the props. This is about your speech and the props complementing it. So at whatever stage of time when you are making that presentation, you do feel that a prop is necessary. Let it be an effective prop. Let it be a powerful prop. So that when your story now is coming out, when you're now really demonstrating what you have to show, you do a lot more speaking than showing. One of the things that you can do is probably find 2 spaces, maybe 3, where you do need a prop, but then take the bulk of the time to do speaking, to gesture, to have eye contact, so that your voice variety is not distracted with at what stage am I going to bring in my prop and how effective is it going to be. So at preparation stage is where now you decide how much prop do I need and how do I begin to eliminate too much prop. I can tell you, when preparing for my humorous speech contest, I had 10,000 different props, from high heels, from jackets to stools even, that I thought I needed to use. By the time I was getting to this stage, all I needed was a high stool, high table, and a banner. So that journey definitely takes a lot, but you have to be very strategic with where you bring in your prop, because it's amplifying what you need to say. I hope that answers the question. Thank you, thank you, Solomon.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Let's have one more person, Baron Ochola.
Yes, thank you so much, Toastmaster of the Day, and thank you for the wonderful presentation, Toastmaster Emily. I have 2 things to inquire about, and the first one is to do with props as well. Everybody speaks about props, and they only speak about seen props, something that you can carry to the stage and is physically seen. But when you read further, you'll find that there are also unseen props. Recently, I was delivering a speech and I spoke about dominoes falling, and I presented it in a way that the audience members looked like dominoes. I didn't per se make them fall, but when I was using my gestures, and that is an unseen prop. And then after that, somebody said I did not use any prop. I did not know how to explain to them that that was actually an unseen prop. What can you say about this as well? The use of unseen props. I've seen Toastmasters using several of them, but without physical props. And the second one is what type of story can one use for a humorous speech? Because we are good at making funny quips and remarks, but when it comes to something longer, such as a speech, some of us are not there at all. That is it. Back to you.
Thank you, Baron. Thank you so much. That's a very interesting question. I'll confess to say that this is the first time I'm also hearing about unseen props, but I'm learning something. Perhaps how that may have come, and I don't want to say that I know the right answer here, is to say that the use of gestures and probably dominoes falling is you already created an image in our heads and then you possibly pointed. I'm guessing that's what you may have done, and people look like they were falling like dominoes. So sometimes gestures can complement the use of props, and I will possibly go and research a little further about unseen props. The one thing that I would say is when you go onto the stage, everyone is a visual creature. We are all visual. So for the imagery that you create, then you bring it in with gestures, or you possibly do now audience engagement so that it looks like you have used an unseen prop. To the question about, what was the second question? Please remind me again. Sorry.
What type of, how do you pull stories? What type
Humorous
of stories?
contests. So there's always a very thin line with humorous contests. You can make a joke. It can be not really a tall tale, but something that is almost relatable to human existence. It could be something humorous about taxation. It could be something humorous about yourself. It could be something satirical about maybe a leader that you want to bring out. When you're preparing for a humorous contest, make sure that you are very comfortable with the humor yourself. And make sure to test it out with as many people as possible so that you know it's actually hilarious. The other thing is to bring in the humor at the earliest possible moments. So when you're preparing for the speech, it can be self-deprecating. For my example, it was self-deprecating humor, where you turn something that otherwise would be stigmatizing or negative into something that would be comical and people would enjoy about it. The other way you can do humorous content, humorous speeches is something satirical, but then, or rather it could be about something difficult in the society, but that you want to make light of it so that people feel less stressed about it, but then is a common interest. The third thing is you could possibly look at a leader and maybe use that to bring in the humor of the lessons that you learn about leadership. So make sure that, again, the second thing, make sure that you test out your humor with as many people as possible, because sometimes the humor can be totally missed and sometimes the humor can be negatively received. You have to be very culturally sensitive. You have to be very sensitive also to the Toastmasters guidelines as far as humor is concerned and what the values are: respect, integrity, service, and excellence. You have to be very, very sensitive to all of these things when you're developing a humorous speech, especially because of the thin line about satire, self-deprecation, and possibly where it now begins to attack, not really attack, but probably point out on a topical issue. But self-deprecating is usually the most fun of them all.
Wow. Thank you so much, Toastmasters, and just let's appreciate Emily so much. I've got or received a lot of guidance from your speech this morning, Emily. Thank you so much. And for me, the key message is that get onto the stage.